Welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. I'm going to save your summer with one of my best friends in the world, Dagen McDowell, who is here for a happy hour, and she's back from a road trip. Dude, to road tripping.
Love you.
Love you too. So this is, I hope that you have... It's one of my faves.
I love this concept of a cocktail because if I spill it on myself, it's kind of a criminal repellent in New York City because I would look like that I was covered in blood.
Yeah. And people would be like, ew, microbes.
Can't carry a gun, can't carry a knife, but I can spill what looks like a blood cocktail all over myself.
This is red beer. Of course, it's non-alcoholic beer.
Yes, of course.
But
it's actually delicious.
Yeah, but I that was one of the first things that I drank was red beer because, you know, it's not too strong. It's one of those things that you can drink throughout the day. You replace the electrolytes in the summer with the tomato juice, and it's pretty simple. They don't drink it all over the country. Like, I don't think you're going to find this in Newport, Rhode Island. But in Southern Indiana, they're our fans.
I love a shandy.
Yeah.
The Leinenkugel's summer shandy.
Yep.
Is delicious.
Yep.
I drank one, which I wasn't allowed to drink on the air, but when we were covering the U.S. Open, it was outside of Milwaukee.
Oh, nice.
And the guys from Leinenkugel's brought beer for the morning show.
That is the beer city to go to.
And they had it in coolers, and they were on set, and I'm like, well, is there any that's cold? And they were like, of course.
Yeah.
And they were like, you can't drink it on the air. And I was like, in the commercial break, I was like, throw me one. I was like, this shandy? I was like, it's all it is like lemonade and beer. I was like, delicious.
No, but when you lengthen beer with something non-alcoholic, it makes it like quite refreshing and drinkable because there's nothing worse than drinking too much of one thing early on and being hammered. And then it kind of puts a damper on your day. You want a nice, slow buzz.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my goal.
Breakfast beer.
The more mature I get in years and emotions, the more that I want to stretch out a nice, mellow buzz and not be like, woo!
Well, because I have to take a nap. Well, I have like a drink and I need a nap.
Me too.
And it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, one whatever, like mimosa in the morning or shandy. Is it shandy? Yeah, shandy.
So there are two things that give me hope. And I'm always looking, how can we get in touch with ourselves to make life better? And you inspired me, number one, with the road trip. And I want to get into that. But my daughter came back from college and she's got a friend from college who lives in the city and then another friend visiting and then a couple friends from high school who've been coming over every night. I make dinner. We all have dinner. And then they've been doing the most remarkable things because everyone likes to crap on the younger generation and say, oh, they just look at their phones. People like Gen Xers, boomers, they are just as guilty. They have been playing cards every night. So my daughter went to college, learned a bunch of card games, and they've been playing them and they are shrieking with delight. And, I have to shut it down at 11 because I'm like, okay.
What cards
Grandma
are they
has to go to bed. They're playing BS, and then they have another game that they haven't taught me yet, and a little blackjack. And I would like to think there's some euchre in there.
You know what? We need to bring back bridge for the younger generation because it is a game of mathematics and the mind. Like my grandparents used to play bridge.
Yes.
They had bridge clubs.
Bridge clubs. I remember my mom's friends
and it's
all had
very
bridge
complicated.
Clubs. Yes.
But I love that. And I've had long conversations with my brother about this because hiring Gen Z and having young daughters, he's like, people mix up, and he's tried to school me about this, talking for a living, wearing a microphone and lots of makeup. He said that Gen Z is not the millennial generation, and Gen Z is to millennials what we are to the boomers.
Yes.
That the boomers kind of
wrecked
had
everything.
it easy and screwed up everything.
Mhm.
They soaked up all the resources. They have had it easy. They've been on a long glide path, and we've had to work our asses off. And the and Gen Z feels the same way about the very quite privileged millennials with the overinflated egos about their own self-worth. And
Yes.
he has said that in hiring Gen Z, he said they are mercenaries when it comes to what they view as their own self-worth, but in a way that is they know their value and they will work for it and they will come in and say, like, in terms of negotiations, this is what I'm worth, and I'm not staying for less than X. But I found that at that comparison to Gen Z hates the millennials as much as we hate the boomers.
Well, and also if you look at what's going on college campuses, because I'm constantly coming back to this, like, how did we get here? But there are, if you look at the fraternities in the South, they're not putting up with it, and they don't want to be defined like that. Like, there are a lot of people within these generations who are like, no, 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 I am hardworking. I'm not insane. Like, I don't wish for death to America. Like, I want to prosper. I actually want a useful degree, and I want to go out and I want to get married and have a good job and have a good life.
And get away from this thing.
Yeah.
Because my one of my nieces in particular, she's on social media, but not only as she was because now it's gonna be part of her career as she graduates from college.
Yeah.
And she used to make fun of people she would go to restaurants with who would get dressed up to go to a restaurant just to take photographs of themselves sitting in the
I mean, we
restaurant
saw that in Santorini.
with sodas or
Yeah,
milkshakes.
so we saw that at the beautiful cliff top restaurant we went to in Santorini with the incredible sunset, and they actually got mad at us because we were all screwing around and screwing up people's Instagram pictures, but they were just there getting the fruit plate just so they could take a picture at sunset for Instagram. Like, they only reason they went to Santorini was for their social media. And we were hooting and hollering and having a great time, and having all sorts of seafood and spritzes and just having a blast. And like, the social media stuff was very secondary, almost tertiary.
You miss when you're looking at life through the lens of a smartphone camera, you miss everything about it. And it gets back to playing cards versus looking at a phone, but it always boggles my mind when people go to concerts and they will post video from Swift concert, whatever it might be. And it's just a sea of people. You can't see the stage, it's just a sea of cameras.
Yeah.
Are you really getting the full experience that you paid hundreds of dollars for, probably thousands of dollars for,
Yeah.
if you're staring through
And
a camera
is
on
other
your
people's
phone?
FOMO worth it? Like, is it worth it to make other people jealous you're there, as opposed to not necessarily documenting every minute and letting something move you, like really letting something feel you? I didn't think they were going to come back home and play cards. I didn't think they were going to have that much fun, but they're loving it. And I think what happened was, for this section of their generation, they've had a sugar high from the pandemic onward, where it's too much digital. And that's why we kind of have to have faith in people, because it's so easy to stereotype people and just assume that we're on a collision
Yeah,
course and on a handcart, a turbocharged handcart to hell.
absolutely. And this, particularly during the pandemic, smartphones and social media, and Colin Quinn did a stand I didn't watch the whole thing, but he did a stand-up recently in front of a group of, I think it was psychologists or psychiatrists. And, like, social media platforms are like being locked in psychiatric hospitals. And if you don't develop that mental illness outside of the hospital, you develop it in the hospital.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a loneliness at its bare minimum. Being on this thing, it's not healthy. And then com- and then you add that on top of the pandemic. And the only way out of it out of the loneliness or the, kind of self-obsession, the narcissistic personality disorder that comes along with being sucked into this psychiatric hospital of the social media platform, is to just interact with human beings.
Yes.
And then you realize that when you start developing relationships and looking people in the eye and having and actually laughing
Yeah.
with one another, that it's a different world and it's a better world. And this is illness and this is mental health.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
And being tactile, feeling things, experiencing things, which you did on your road trip, which is like it's so awesome for people to rediscover places within their geographical zone and almost treat them like you would far, far away cities in Asia or Europe.
I have always told people that when if you go anywhere, go to the American West. And so when I graduated from college, I moved out to Colorado for 2 years and just lived out there. And people still ask me, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "Because why not? Because I would never get the chance to do that once I entered the
Of
workforce."
course. You don't
And
realize that then.
I knew that then.
Yeah.
I
You
knew
you
that
you had a wisdom that betrayed your numerical age.
I was a loser though, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had an art history degree, and it was in the recession of 91 when I got out of college. So I just got in a car and drove across the country and lived in Aspen and Snowmass, Colorado. But I also got to explore Utah, Arizona, the Four Corners area, and just the whole of the West. And that is one of our greatest assets, other than the people here,
Mm.
are the natural resources and just the land and the beauty of this country. And it's like nowhere else on the planet.
Amen.
You go through arches and canyon lands and Monument Valley and that whole area and just soak it up.
Mm.
No phone. And there there's nothing better than that, and there's nothing greater. And if you haven't seen that, like I'm been hankering to go to Alaska, actually.
Alaska's awesome. I only
Yeah.
went for that short time on the Deadliest Catch boats,
Oh,
but it
that's
is
right.
so beautiful. I mean, it really is stunningly beautiful and isolated, but without the loneliness.
Right.
Like there's something so, we're on the final frontier, and that it's shared. Like you can feel that commonality with people.
I just
And
have become this old fuddy-duddy. The
who
older I've
cares?
gotten, yeah, I just love this country so much.
I do too, but I think
I
that's great.
I love the people. Like, you can go days and days and days, and everyone is so friendly. You never talk about politics. Nobody asks you what do you think about the election? Nobody is talking about anything to do with politics. And it's just everything. It's about the people, their inside, their outside, the beauty, the just external beauty of the country, just what people do for a living, like which state has the best cheese. It's just weird. Everything about this country is just
What
so
state does have the
magical.
best cheese?
I don't, there are a lot of good,
I mean, Vermont and Wisconsin, they would get in
yeah,
a death
those two,
match.
right? Those two. I wasn't going to pick between Vermont or Wisconsin because I like both states very much, and I'd like to visit them again
Yeah.
without being chased with a
No,
machete.
but people in Europe think that they have the best cheese.
It's different. It's
Yes.
good, but I like
And I would say that the best Pinot Noir in the world is grown in the Willamette Valley
yeah,
in Oregon.
yeah.
And, it's like, I don't know a lot about wine. I've tried different wines. I don't remember things about them. I don't know how to differentiate. I don't have a fancy wine palate, but I know that I love Oregon Pinot Noir.
I know that I look really great with like a purple mouth. Ha. Fried cheese curds in Wisconsin are absolutely
Any
delicious.
local delicacy that doesn't have gluten, I will throw myself into.
Even my pimento cheese, but pimento cheese is, they serve it at the Masters, but
Have you been to the Masters?
no, I have never been to the
I'd like
Masters.
to go to the Masters.
I would
And
too.
I haven't been to the Kentucky Derby. I would like to go to that as well. I was told this was not the year to go because it was the 150 and everyone wanted to go.
I've never been to the Derby either.
Yeah. I
Which
think we
is
should go.
kind of, I shouldn't admit, that's kind of sacrilege growing up in the South, but I just have never been. But even pimento cheese can be delicious if it's made with a Wisconsin cheddar.
Oh, hell's
It's
to the
basically
yes.
just cheese, cayenne pepper, pimentos, and mayonnaise,
Yeah.
which, you know, we in the South, you can make a salad out of saltines and mayonnaise.
Oh, I love mayonnaise. I know there are people who are like, my friend Andy is part of the anti-mayonnaise club.
Why?
Yeah, he hates mayonnaise. I think it's delicious. But maybe I grew up like, maybe my mom bathed me in Hellman's. I don't know.
There's a joke in Annie Hall where Diane Keaton, I think, orders pastrami and mayonnaise, and Woody Allen looks at her like she's got 8 heads. But it's a joke among New Yorkers about people outside of the Northeast eating mayonnaise.
Yeah.
But Duke's mayonnaise is the best. Duke's is a Southern mayonnaise.
Okay. So we always like my parents were very brand loyal to Hellman's. And if you made your potato salad with anything else, you were probably a communist.
Well, and now Hellman's, I think, is owned by Unilever. So
Oh,
technically,
Jesus
it's
Christmas.
Dutch.
What are they, Ben and Jerry's? Crap.
Ben and Jerry's is getting sold by Unilever. They're getting rid of them. Do you blame them?
No, it's gone downhill. It's not what it used to be.
No.
But you are amazing. Do you have any other trips for the summer that can inspire all of us?
I can tell you that on my dad turns 88 this summer.
That's right. That's a good one. That's a lucky number.
Wait, I'm coming to see you.
Yeah, you are. 4th of July.
4th
of July.
Which I've done for how many years in a row?
It's amazing.
Like,
I don't know what I would do without you.
It's like
from the clam bake. Like we're gonna have to fly your brother out for the sourdough because I know. Like
I'll bring it with me.
Yeah, because they moved, but they always had the nice add to the clam bake. But yeah, we're gonna do it big, and we're gonna do it for America.
Oh, and but my dad turns 88, so we always on his birthday we steam Chesapeake Bay blue crabs. You steam them in Old Bay seasoning, and you just dump them on a picnic table, and you sit for hours and pick blue crab and drink beer. It is a great.
That sounds incredible.
Mid-Atlantic tradition.
That is absolutely beautiful. To your dad.
And to you.
Amen. And to you as well.
I love you.
I love you too. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. It's Happy Hour along with Dagen McDowell. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app. Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.